Yo, RX back with another breakdown of UFC 313 Pereira versus Ankalaev. We back with another breakdown of a card of a pay-per-view that is good. It's a pretty good card, which I know is rare to say about a pay-per-view, especially since so far this year we've not been spoiled. We've been given very subpar cards. I guess 310 was alright, or not 310, 311 was alright, 312 was decent, I guess. I really don't. I'll be lying if I said I remember those cards off the top of my head. But so far on paper, this is easily the best pay-per-view of the year so far. Yeah, in a month's time with 314, if this gets blown out of the water, that's a month from now. Right now we got UFC 313, our pay-per-view of March 2025, and it's a good one. Main event's one a fight that's long overdue. We're all excited for. Co-main, not really thrilled about. Rest of the main card's decent. Prelims are decent. It should be a pretty fun card, and I'm pretty excited. I think it's gonna be a very interesting card. I think a lot's gonna happen. I don't think I could see a lot of pick sheets being wrong, because I could see some wild upsets, maybe, I don't know. I just feel like this card's gonna be interesting. I feel like it's gonna be very interesting night in a T-Mobile Arena. We're a good place we go many times during the fight year. Let's see what happens in our first pit stop there of 2025. So yeah, not very much more I can say. I just think this is a good card. I'm very excited for it. And Shama week, baby. It's a Shama pay-per-view. So I'd love to see Alex Pereira on a card. So let's see what happens. I'm very intrigued and excited. So let's not wait any longer to get into this. So I can't think of anything else to add. So yeah, well, I'm trying to think. Is there anything else I can add? It's a good pay-per-view. I'm excited. So let's break it down. Sounds good to me. Before we do, quickly, please like, comment, subscribe. 100 subs goal by the end of 2025. And unless I'm forgetting to say something, which I don't believe I am, we're ready to break down some pay-per-view fights. Well, we're not on the pay-per-view yet, but some pay-per-view prelims. I know I am. Let's do it. Let's head to T-Mobile Arena for the first of, 3 cards? There, I think this card, International Fight Week in December. Let's see how we start the year off there, and how our third pay-per-view of the year goes with UFC 313. You ready? I am. Let's break it down. 12 fights in total, and with a pay-per-view, of course, we have early prelims on Fight Pass, so we'll start with those as we begin the night in Alex Pereira's old division, the middleweight division, with the worst fight on the card, which at least for once the worst fight on the card is starting the card. As we begin the night at 185 with a terrible fight between Ozzy, Diaz versus Djorden, Shakur, Santos. I don't have a lot to say about this fight. Again, I think it's the worst fight on the card, and I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that take. It's a tomato can fighting a guy who's not very impressive from Contender Series, so let's see what happens. Someone has to take a win. See who it is. Let's get into it, as we'll begin with our first fighter of the night of the breakdown, Ozzy Diaz. Ozzy in the UFC is 0-1, not coming off Contender Series because he lost on Contender Series a few years ago to Joe Pyfer. Went 2-0 on the regional scene in 2024 after the Joe Pyfer fight, and then came back to the UFC, got just a contract overall. got fed to Zhang Mingyang. That went exactly as you thought it did. And now we're here. He's 0-1 coming off a KO only a few months ago. Getting a giant step down in competition. Down, I guess, in his weight class. Because he's not really a big 205er. So we'll see how he looks down at his weight class against a giant step down. 34 years old, 9-3, goes to King's MMA, which has a lot of big names. So he's going to a high-profile gym, but he is 34 years old and very inexperienced, as we've seen in his 2 UFC fights so far. I think Ozzy is one of the worst fighters on the roster. I don't know why he's even here. He's just a bona fide punching bag, if we're being honest. He's just here to give good fighters a highlight, because outside of that, I don't see why he's in the UFC. I don't know what he's good at. I guess he's a decent striker, or he's meant to be, but I've not seen him do anything in his 2 fights. I get he fought really good strikers, but I've not seen anything from him in his first 2 fights that shown he's a good striker. Again, he's 34 years old, inexperienced, and has looked as unimpressive as he can, even getting knocked out twice. So, I'm not really sure what you want me to say. I think he's a terrible fighter, and I really don't know why he's here. I thought you should have cut him after the Ming Zhang fight. I thought, like, that was common, but I guess they want to give him a fair shot down at 180 at his weight class. Fine. We'll see how he looks here against a step down in competition. Maybe Ozzy will prove me wrong, but I doubt it. I think he's fucking terrible. Yet so far, he's proven me right. To talk about his debuting opponent, one of the 2 debutants on the card this week, Djorden Santos, coming off the Contender Series last year, where he beat Will Curry in a very whatever fight. Not a very memorable good fight. If we're being honest, the only reason he got a contract was because he won as a giant underdog, which, by the way, I predicted him to win, but he was a giant underdog, so that's really the only reason he got a contract. He didn't look great. The guy he fought, Will Curry, I think is fucking terrible. I don't think this guy's gonna do much in the UFC. He's 27 years old, 10-1. If his Contender Series fight is anything to go off of, if it's a foreshadowing of the future, I doubt he does much in the UFC. I don't think he's awful, but do I think he's UFC level? No. Do I think he should have got a contract? No. Do I think who he beat was UFC level or good? No. So, I really don't know why he's here. Like, he's not young, well, 27, but he's not like this young, explosive knockout artist. He has 3, 4, and 3, so he's a well-rounded dude. So, I don't know, I'm not really jumping. I was not really thrilled when he got a contract. I don't think he really earned it, again, outside of winning as a big underdog, which is cool. Excuse me. I really don't think he earned a contract, so maybe I'm wrong. He won't prove me wrong here because he's fighting Ozzy Diaz, who's fucking awful. But maybe down the road he'll prove me wrong. But for his debut, you don't gotta prove much. Just beat Ozzy Diaz, which is very easy. So do it. Yeah, and by the way, I just took my eyes glanced at the record of the guys he's beat. 1-4, 6-13, 3-0, 8-2. Oh boy. What the fuck do we got here? The bang odds have Santos minus 185 to plus 155. I would have Santos minus 200. If it was any other fighter who I thought was decent, I would probably have him my lock of the night because Ozzy Diaz is terrible. But I don't know, I don't trust Santos enough with that, so I won't make it my lock of the night, but I am gonna pick Djorden to win this fight. No shocker. I don't get knocked out, I guess. Like, I'm not really sure what you gotta be worried for with Ozzy Diaz, because I've seen nothing positive in his 2 fights so far. So, if Santos just does what he did in his Contender Series fight, strike decent at range, take him down, win a boring decision, should be as easy as it gets, so just do that. My pick here to begin the night will be our debuting Djorden Santos. You should beat Ozzy Diaz very easily. If you don't, it's kind of worrying. So, beat Ozzy Diaz, and we'll talk about you more after that. So, this is a bona fide Contender Series fight, and not a good one at that. So, yeah. Give me Djorden Santos by decision. He should win this fight. Again, he should be minus 200. It's Ozzy Diaz. He's fucking awful. He might get knocked out. So, more than likely, I see Djorden hopefully doing what he did in Contender Series. Fight smarter, be the better fighter, and win a decision. So, give me Djorden Santos by decision in a very low-level fight to begin the night. After that, we go to our second fight of the night, the fight to be booked very last minute. I think on Sunday this was booked, and if you remember, I brought this up in my recap of UFC Vegas 103 last Sunday, so I guess the UFC must have heard me and booked, because they literally booked this like 2-3 hours later. So that's very funny. As in our second fight of the night, we head to Banway for a very late replacement, but not very much of a short notice, no camp type of thing. As in our second fight of the night, it's a good one in the Banweight division, as always, as we have Chris El Guapo Gutierrez versus John Sexy Mexi Castañeda. Good fight. Very good fight. Shocked it hasn't happened before. It's a good fight. I happy they booked this. Obviously, as you know, Castañeda's fight last week got cancelled against Douglas Silva de Andrade. Douglas had weigh-in issues, so the fight got cancelled on a weigh-in day. But Castañeda, I guess, stayed in shape, stayed in Vegas, and stepped in on short notice to fight Gutierrez. Short notice, for quotation marks. Like I said in the recap, this should have been the fight they'd make, and they did. So, happy Gutierrez finally found an opponent after Gene Matsumoto took this fight against Rob Font a few weeks ago. I'm happy Castañeda got to just finally fight after having to wait an extra week. So, good fight. 2 very good fighters in the division for a while now. So, let's see what happens. Again, shocked this fight hasn't happened before, but let's see it happen now. And this is not a bantamweight, my bad. This is at a 140. I think they're wrong. I don't think this is at 135. I swear this is a 140 catchweight or whatever. So, yeah, I believe this is a 140 catchweight. So maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. So either way, it's not really much of a big deal. So let's talk. Well, I guess it is for Castañeda. He doesn't have to cut weight again. Gutierrez is cutting weight anyway, so I don't know. Let's just talk about the fight. I think we'll begin with the guy who's been on this card, just finally has an opponent, Chris Gutierrez. Gutierrez in the UFC is 9-3-1. His wins have been Ryan McDonald, Gernaldo D. Fretes, Vince Morales, Andre Ewell, Felipe Colares, Dana Bagarel, Frankie Edgar, Tung Hae Lee, and Quang Lee. His losses have been Ione Barcelos, Pedro Munoz, and Song Yadong, and he had a draw with Cody Durden. Random ass fight. Gutierrez is a very good fighter. Was ranked at 135 for a hot minute, but now he is outside the top 15. After the Song Yadong fight, I guess they really did not think highly of him. He really doesn't have any top 15 level wins. Who has he beat? 2022 Frankie Edgar, Dana Bagarel, who I thought pretty decent, but it's not a great win. Tunghae Lee, pretty decent, but not a great win. I did not think he looked very good against Kwang Lee, and we saw how well that's aging. So, like, I think Gutierrez is a decent fighter, but he definitely has shown some not great things. Like, in the last 2 fights alone, again against Song Yadong, he got pretty much grapple fucked for 25 minutes, which says a lot. That Song Yadong was able to grapple fuck you. And Kwang Lee, again, I thought he lost that fight. I remember scoring that fight for Kwang Lee, and it was very close. So, and we saw how good Kwang Lee is when he had to fight someone who has seen him fight, and he got knocked the fuck out in his last fight. So, not really going good for Gutierrez, and but now he's not fighting a Chinese, Japanese, whatever the fuck, I don't remember what Kwang Lee is. He's finally not fighting. He's back to fighting, damn, he fought 3 in a row. I didn't even think about that, holy shit. Now he's fighting Castañeda. Yeah, I'm not really sure what to say about Gutierrez. He's a good veteran. He's 33 years old now, been in the UFC a hot minute, since 2018. We know what his skill set is. His striking's alright, but we know his main weapon is his leg kicks. He got a finish by leg kicks, and he's just a very good leg kicker in general. Grappling is not very good. Again, Song Yadong looked like fucking Uriah Faber against him. Jaime Barcelos subbed him in his debut, so grappling's definitely not a strong suit of Gutierrez. He does have decent cardio. He has Mark Montoya in his corner, which is a top tier coach. So, and he's again a wise veteran. So, we'll see what he does here. In hindsight, it's probably better he didn't fight Gene Matsumoto, because Gene would have probably done what Song Yadong did. So, guess he got lucky there. So, let's see what happens here against a guy closer to his skill set and what he likes to do. So, should be interesting. Should be a very interesting fight between Gutierrez and Castañeda. So, let's see what happens. We know Gutierrez is going to kick the shit out of Castañeda's legs. Can he survive, though? We'll see. And then to talk about his opponent, John Castañeda. I don't think I'm going to really talk about him. If you want to see me talk about John Castañeda, you can go watch my breakdown from last week. I'll pin it right here, or link it, whatever the fuck you want to say, in the top right of the screen. I'll just do an abbreviated version. 4-3 in the UFC. Been a very hot and cold fighter. Not bad losses. Nathaniel Wood, Daniel Santos, Daniel Marcos. Could be worse, but he definitely has shown flashes of being a really good fighter, but then he's looked pretty bad at times. So, we'll see if he can finally start putting it together and getting back on track. He's 33 as well, he's getting older, so we'll see if he can get a win and stay above 500 in the UFC, or does he go to 4-4. We'll see. Very good fighter. When he's on, he's a very good fighter, but when he's not on, he can look very bad at times, which is really weird with how talented I think Castañeda is, but that's what happens sometimes. So, but that's about really all I will say. Again, my full breakdown for Castañeda, at least for himself, will be in top right. And from last week, and yeah, I could say the same things I did last week, but why not just watch what I did last week? So, yeah. The betting odds for this fight, I think, have Gutierrez like a pretty decent favorite. I think it's like minus 180, 190. I would have this a pick'em. I think this is one of the 2 hardest fights to book on the card, or not book, to pick on the card. It's a 50-50 fight. I think they're both about the same skill set. I think Gutierrez is very good. We know he's going to be able to kick the legs. I think Gutierrez has a better gas tank, but I think in the striking department, Castañeda is better. I am worried about Castañeda making weight and switching opponents on a week notice. Gutierrez is actually a taller dude by a few inches. That's surprising. I thought he would be shorter. It's a close fight. It's a very close fight. I don't think it's as cut and dry as the odds say. I could see Castañeda winning this. I really could. Gutierrez is good, but if Castañeda comes out here with a grappling game plan, which he has in the past, he does have 7 submission wins. It could be an interesting fight, because then that breaks Gutierrez away from the leg kicks, and will wear on his gas tank, even though I don't think he's gonna gas. If Castañeda can at least bag 2 rounds doing that, then we're talking about a very interesting fight, or it could be as simple as Gutierrez is able to stay at range, kick his legs for 3 rounds, and win a decision. So, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a very intriguing fight. I'm excited. I'm very excited for this fight. I think it's gonna be good. Long overdue fight to see these 2 fight. And, what do I think is gonna happen? I don't know. I truly don't know. I think you could flip a coin and make as good of a prediction as I can. I'm gonna go with... give me Sexy Mexi. I feel like Castañeda can pull this one out. If he can catch some of those leg kicks or just get Gutierrez to the ground, or I think Gutierrez might be the lesser striker of the 2. So, we'll see. It's a very close fight. I just smell a split decision a mile away here. It's gonna be a weird fight. It's gonna be a close fight. It's gonna be a good fight. But I'm gonna go with who I believe is the underdog, at least betting odds wise. I know he is picks wise. I'm gonna go with John Castañeda by decision. I think it's gonna be a rough fight. It's gonna be a weird fight. It's gonna be a close one. And we'll see if I get this right or I get this wrong. We're gonna find out. Give me Sexy Mexi by decision in a very close coin flip of a fight. Excuse me. After that, we go to our featured early prelim, our 3rd prelim. Only 3 featured or 3 early prelims here. As in our featured early prelim, we head to featherweight for a very easy fight to predict. Between Mairon, the legend Santos, versus Francis Fire Marshall. Yes, this fight's not very complex, to say the least. It's, a very simple fight to break down, in my opinion, so let's not waste a lot of time, and let's do just that. Break it down. We'll begin with the Ultimate Fighter winner, Mairon Santos. Mairon in the UFC is 1-0, coming off the Ultimate Fighter, where he did win it, beating Khan awfully by knockout, flatlining him if anything. Mairon's a decent fighter. His hands looked good. Did he fight a bantamweight for that fight? No, it was featherweight. He has good power in his hands, clearly. He has a good grappling base. He's a pretty well-rounded, decent fighter, 24 years old. Pretty young kid. He's a pretty decent fighter, though. Did get beat by Dan Argueta a few years ago, which I thought a bad loss. Dan Argueta's very fucking good, even if he does not perform like it half the time. But yeah, not very much to say about Mairon. Getting his first, I guess, if you want to say, official UFC fight. So his 2 wins on the show weren't very impressive, let alone against very low-level competition. And then again, Khan Awfully, who's pretty fucking terrible. Getting a little bit of a step up here with Francis Marshall, but still not much of a step up, so... But I get used to trying to build him up slowly, 24 years old. Give him a couple cans and let him develop more, so... It makes sense, so... We'll see how he develops here, in front of a crowd. First official UFC fight, if you want to say. See how the kid does. To talk about his opponent, Francis Marshall. Francis in the UFC is 2-2. His coming off Contender Series, his 2 wins have been Marcelo Rojo and Dennis Bazukia. His 2 losses have been William Gomez and Isaac Dolgarian. He could easily be 3-1 if he didn't get kind of robbed against William Gomez, but that's kind of the norm for William Gomez. And then for the other 2 wins, Marcelo Rojo, not very impressive. Great knockout, but against Marcelo Rojo. And then Dennis Bazukia, so some pretty weak win. And then for his 1 loss against Isaac Dolgarian, that's an okay L. It's a very understandable one at that, so I get it. Dolgarian is a very decent fighter, so I get it. It's not the worst L in the world, so makes sense, checks out, and yeah, that checks out. I'm not very high on Marshall. I don't think he's that great. 25 years old, 8-2. Like, he's a fine striker. His ground game's decent, but he's just not very great, and it's very clear the UFC is just kind of feeding him to this kid. So, good luck. I really don't know what Francis's path to victory would be here. I guess grappling? I don't think he really wants to strike with Mairon, so maybe I'm wrong, but I would very struggle to see him wanting to go fist to fist with Mairon, so we'll see though. We'll very much see. So maybe he can spring the upset and fraud check the kid, but it feels very unlikely. But you never know, do you? The betting odds for this fight have Mairon Santos minus 375 to plus 290. Yeah, probably. You could have him probably minus 400 even. He should win. I really don't see him losing this fight. Again, unless Francis Marshall turns into goddamn Khabib Nurmagomedov, I don't think he's going to be able to just grapple fuck Mairon for 3 rounds. So it should be a Mairon Santos W in my opinion. The main question now is, how does he win this fight? Mairon is my lock of the night. I don't see him losing this fight. I truly don't. So I think he would have to really do something weird to lose this fight, which I doubt he does. So yeah. But to speak how I think he wins this fight, I think he might drop Francis, to be honest. I just kind of feel it. Something's telling me knockout, not a decision. Do I go knockout? I don't think he gets a submission. I could see it, but I really can't at the same time. Does he get a knockout or a decision? I feel knockout more. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Mairon Santos by knockout in the second. I think he should win this fight. Again, he is my lock of the night. I think he's better on the feet. I think he's a better fighter overall. I doubt he gets a grapple fucked for 15 minutes. Give me Mairon Santos by knockout in the first or second. I mean, I really just don't see Mairon getting fraud-checked here. I'm not a big fan of him. I still think what he did at the weigh-ins for his last fight was the most coward shit possible. Hopefully he actually makes weight this time instead of holding his foot off the scale, but we'll see. And but also what we'll see is how he does here in his UFC debut, quotation marks. So let's see what the kid can do. Give me Mairon Santos by knockout in a second. My lock of the night. I just really don't see Francis winning this one again, unless he turns into Khabib. Good luck, kid. I don't think you're gonna beat Mairon here. Maybe I'm wrong. but I strongly doubt it. Mairon knockout in the second. And that's the early prelims. Nothing amazing. First fight's kinda shitty. Second fight's pretty good. Third fight's okay. Nothing special, nothing to write home about, but it could be worse. Now we move on to the actual prelims for more decent fights on this card. So let's not waste any more time. Half an hour in, let's get to our final 4 actual prelims. Ready? Let's go. And we'll begin with the first prelim of the night, official, if you want to say, as we head to welterweight for the only time tonight, which is kind of shocking, for a decent fight, and a fight I feel like a lot of people are excited for many reasons. As in our first prelim of the night in the welterweight division, we have Alex the Great White Morono versus Carlos the Lion Leal. Well, I think a lot of people know who they're picking for this fight. I still think those odds are a little crazy, but I'm not saying I disagree with them. But let's look into this fight. The biggest favorite on the card. Let's look a little deeper into that. So, let's do that. We'll begin with the big underdog on the card, Alex Morono. Alex in the UFC is 13-8-1. His wins have been Kyle Noak, James, not going to try that name, Josh Berkman, Kenan Song, Zach Otto, Max Griffin, Reese McKee, Donald Cerrone, David Zawada, Mickey Gall, Matthew Summersberger, Tim Means, and Court McGee. His losses have been Keita Nakamura, Djorden Mean, Chaos Williams, Anthony Pettis, Santiago Ponzinibbio, Joaquin Buckley, Nico Price, and Daniel Rodriguez. And he had a no contest from Nico Price in their first meeting. Morono is kind of falling off. He had a really nice run in 2021 and 2022. Was gonna beat Ponzinibbio and got clipped. Looked good against Tim Means. Got fed to Buckley. Looked fine against Court McGee, not great. Then he looked awful against Nico Price. Looked very bad against Daniel Rodriguez. And now he's on a 2-fight losing streak at 34 years old, fighting a young, hungry prospect. Yeah, I think the UFC is kind of tired of Alex Morono. He's not really the most exciting fighter. His striking's fine, but he's not really known for power. 6 KOs, 2 of them in the UFC. He's not really known for power. He's a decent striker, like I said, but nothing special. His ground game is perfectly okay. Nothing special about it. Nothing special about him as a fighter. He's perfectly fine. He can... and he has some decent wins, I'll give him that. Josh Berkman, Kenan Song, Max Griffin, Donald Cerrone, Matthew Summersberger, Tim, Court. Those are some nice wins. But then you look at every time he's fought someone decent, he's lost. Chaos, Showtime, Ponzi, Buckley, Price, D-Rod. Yeah, he's not really been able to break that glass ceiling and beat these higher echelon guys, but he has been able to beat the lower echelon guys, so I guess that's something to be proud of. Excuse me. He's a fine fighter, but again, at 34, he's starting to look very old and washed. And a loss here, he's probably getting cut, so we'll see if he can spring the upset and save his job. It looks very unlikely, but you never know, do you? I know I don't know. So let's find out. If Morono has one more win left in him. Feels pretty unlikely. To talk about his opponent, Carlos Leal. Leal is 1-0 in the UFC, coming off a debut win versus Rinat Fakhretdinov. No, I don't care what this says. One of the worst robberies I've ever seen. In his debut against Rinat, he looked fine. He didn't look spectacular, but he looked fine. He won that fight, no doubt, being the better fighter for sure. and was able to get the W there. Now he's getting a step down-ish. I'm not sure where that's pretty terrible, but kind of a step down against Alex Morono. A few years ago, it'd not be a step down, but in 2025, yeah, that shit's a step down. He is 30 years old. I got a veteran record, 21-6, so he's not a newbie. We'll see how far this guy can go. He looked good in his debut. I don't think he's gonna go super far, but I could see him joining the top like 25 of the weight class. He's decent. He's pretty decent. But need to see a little bit more from his debut. He looked good. Again, he got that win, but I need to see a little bit more from him, and can't think of a much better fight than against a super old, washed Alex Morono. So let's see what Leal can do on a full cam, no less. Also, let's factor that in. The betting odds first fight, you have Carlos Leal minus 600 plus 430. Again, Leal is the biggest favorite on the card, and I really don't know if I agree with it. Yes, he should win, but I don't know if he should be minus 130. Or 600, I mean. I would have him maybe minus 500, 530, a little bit down of a favorite, but still a big favorite at that. He should win. I'd be very shocked if he loses. I don't think Morono has the tools or a lot of the things anymore to compete with Leal in 2025. A few years ago, we're talking about a different fight. But in 2025, on a 2-fight skid for the 34-year-old, compared to coming off a win that he's probably pretty pissed about being a pretend L, this could go pretty bad for Morono. So I probably won't be seeing Alex Morono again in the UFC. Won't be shocked if this is his last dance in the UFC, which is kind of shocking because he's been there a long time now, since 2016. Had a lot of fights, but an L here, leave him on a 3-fight skid. I would be kind of shocked if they keep him around after this fight, especially since it just seems like they're feeding him to a prospect anyway, so kind of foreshadowing. So yeah, not very much I'll say. I'm not going to shock anyone. My pick is going to be Carlos Leal. Again, I don't think it's a very shocking pick. I'm going to go Carlos Leal by decision. I think he could finish Morono, but that's a lot easier said than done. So I think he's probably going to get closer to just getting a decision, probably at 30-27, and probably just get to win. Let's be honest, I think on the feet, Morono might be the smarter fighter, but Leal is better on the ground. I don't think we saw Leal's ground game, and Alex Morono's not a wizard on the ground. So Leal should win. He's the better fighter. Morono's old, very predictable because he's not very exciting. He has a nice jab. He's again the smarter guy, but I'm gonna go with the better fighter and not the smarter fighter in this one, which means give me Carlos Leal by decision. Should win this fight. Not very much I'll say. Biggest favorite on the card. Which I know might be a curse in 2025, it seems, but at least for right now, it's hard to not go with it. So give me Carlos Leal to begin our prelims. Not my lock of the night, though. Considered it, didn't go for it. After that, we go to our second fight of the prelims in the middleweight division. I would say tied, if not maybe the hardest fight in the card to predict, because it's not a great one. It's two very subpar fighters. And then our second prelim of the night, going back to middleweight for a little bit better of a fight, as we have Brunno the Hulk Ferreira versus Armen Superman Petrosyan. It's a fight, not a very good one. Very low talent level here, especially for middleweight, which I guess is not the highest talent level to begin with. But these two are really making it look like a high echelon, which it's really not. So we had to look at the champion. Very good, but God, he doesn't fight like it. So But that's a different story. Bruno Ferreira, Armen Petrosyan. Weird fight. Very 50-50 fight. Let's see what happens. We'll begin with the underdog, the Hulk, Bruno Ferreira. 3-2 in UFC. His 3 wins have been coming off Contender Series. Gregory Rodriguez, Phil Halls, and Dustin Stoltzfus. His 2 losses have been the Sultana, Ruziboyev, and Abus Magomed. He's had really weird ups and downs in UFC. His ups have been really good ups, knocking out RoboCop in your debut, Phil Halls and Dustin Stoltzfus. That's pretty good, but Sultan Ruziboyev, okay. Abus Magomed, okay. Not really good else. It kind of seems like his wins and losses should almost be flipped to an extent. He should have lost to Gregory Rodriguez, but he should have beaten a Sultan and Abus, so kind of seems very ass backwards, but Brunno's making himself a career, so good for him. We'll see where this win falls, if it makes any fucking, or not win, but where this fight falls, if it makes any fucking sense, or if it's another, if it's a win or lose, I don't know. That'll be interesting though. I'm intrigued. We know Bruno Ferreira touches you, you're gonna fall down, out, cold. 2-time rise opponent, Armen Petrosyan. Armen in the UFC at 3-3, coming out of Contender Series as well. In the UFC, he's not done much better, with his 3 wins being Gregory Rodriguez, AJ Dobson, and Christian Leroy Duncan. His 3 losses being Kyle Borrello, Rodolfo Vieira, and Shara Bullet Magomed. I've not been much more impressed with Armen in the UFC. I think at least the one thing you can say about Bruno Ferreira is he has some really good wins. Now for Armen, a debatable Gregory Rodriguez decision. H.U. Dobson, COD. Not a lot of good stuff to pick from there. I don't think he's a terrible fighter, but he's not far from it. I think he's a very bad fighter. Of course, we saw Shara Bullet beat him in his last fight. He was just cannon fodder there, and he did a fine job, kind of almost getting a case from winning that fight. He's not very good. I really don't know what Armen's very good at. His striking's okay, his grappling's okay, his cardio's okay, he's pretty tough. I'm just not high on Armen. I don't think he's very good. He's 34 years now. He's 34 years old now. 8-4. I just don't think highly of him. I don't think that he's some great fighter, and I just really don't think much of Armen. So maybe I'm wrong to be like that, but I just really don't see a lot to be hyped about with him. The betting odds are hyped about him though, having him at -165 to +135. I don't agree. I think this should be a pick'em fight. I could see this fight going either way. I think Armen could stay at range and win a pretty boring fight. Bruno Ferreira could get the knockout or come into range and win a interesting fight. It's a very 50-50 fight. I don't think Petrosyan should be the favorite ever, let alone here. And I just really don't agree with these betting odds. I think they're kind of not great. But who am I going with here? It's hard not to go Bruno Ferreira. Better wins, better opponent. I think the better fighter, a little bit younger, more experienced, at least overall fight-wise. Give me Bruno Ferreira, but I'm going to go shocker because he's #1 by this. I'm going to go Bruno Ferreira by decision. I don't think it's going to be as easy as with his other fights. I think he's going to have to work for this one. I think he's going to have to go 15 tough minutes. and we'll see if he has the cardio to do that. Let's wait to see that if I have him go 15 minutes. So give me Bruno Ferreira by decision. I just have a feeling that he's gonna go 15 minutes here, win or lose, and I'm gonna say win in this case. So give me Bruno Ferreira by decision to get his first decision win and his first decision of his whole career in general. I don't think Armen's very good. I think these betting odds are wrong. I think this is it's tied for hardest fight to pick on the card. And just like the Castañeda fight, I'm just gonna say fuck it, flip a coin if I had to, but I'm gonna go with who I think's the better fighter. I don't like the Castañeda fight, I think they're both good, but here I'm gonna go Bruno Ferreira by decision in a very tough, not great, but tough fight. After that, we head to our second to last prelim, or prelim co-main event of the evening. A banger, a short notice one at that, as we head to the flyweight division. Way better fight than that trash main event in the Apex last week. As in our prelim co-main event, we have Rei Tsuruya vs Joshua, the fearless Van. What a really good fight this is. Tsuruya is stepping in on short notice for Bruno Silva. Not extremely short notice. It still had a good amount of time, but it was a few weeks ago. So short enough notice, if that makes sense. This should be a good one. Two guys who are bona fide undefeated. One is, one pretty much is. It's gonna be interesting. We're gonna learn a lot about a lot of fighters, about two very interesting prospects at 125. So, well, I think we know pretty much everything we need to know about Joshua Van, but we're gonna learn a lot about Rei Tsuruya. I'm excited. I'm intrigued. Let's see what happens. And we'll begin the breakdown with talking about Rei Tsuruya. Not a lot to say. 1-0 in the UFC, coming off road to UFC, which that's not a great start. In his UFC debut, he beat Carlos Hernandez and did not look fantastic. I swear it was a situation where he got the first 2 rounds and then gassed and almost got finished. Maybe I'm wrong, but I swear that's what happened. Maybe not, but that's what I remember happening. But either way, he was able to get the win, and now he's getting a ginormous step up to Joshua Van. He has much fights during Nickel in Australia that fell through, so let's see how good Tsuruya really is. I think he's a fine fighter, but I don't think he's ready for a fight like this. It's pretty hard to be ready for a fight like this in general, let alone not on the longest of notices, and again, just in general, at 22 years old. Good luck, Rei. You're gonna need it, because Joshua Van, good luck. Good luck. I think Rei's a decent fighter, but I don't know if he's ready for this big of a fight at 22 and not a full camp. Good luck. You're gonna need it. And then talk about his opponent, Joshua Van. Van in the UFC is 5-1, a guy who we talked about last week because Energy was on the card. Van's wins in the UFC have been Gas Zumagulov, Kevin Borjas, Felipe Boonies, Edgar Chirez, and Cody Djorden, and he lost to Charles Johnson, as we know. Van in the UFC has looked so good. in its 5 wins. It just looked so good. Some of the best cardio in UFC, some great striking. His grappling, the little we've seen of it, looks fine. He is so fucking good. Again, I made a comparison to Petrosyan. I don't even know if that's an accurate comparison, but it might be the closest you can get to a guy like Van, who is very unique and just very talented. So he's gonna drown you. He's going for 15 minutes. He's going to put a pace on you and drown you. You've only got one finish, but still, like, if he's ever in a 5-rounder, good goddamn luck. Like, he is so good. 23 years old. Like, I get his winter week because Zugals ain't good. Kevin Boras sucks. Felipe Booney sucks. Edgar Shira is decent. Cody Djorden is decent. The one time he actually fought someone really good, he did lose to Energy. It happens. I don't think you really hold that against him. So, and again, I think I said last week he has a very fluky win. I feel like out of 10 fights, that's the only way that fight ends one time. So, take that as you will. Either way, again, Van, very talented fighter, 23 years old. One loss, which a fluky one at that. It's hard to really find any negatives in Van's game, so I think dude's one of the best in the division. I think we're going to be seeing him at the top of the division sooner than later. It's just a matter of time, and he's young. The UFC has about 10 years dealing with this dude. In a good way. He's not a problem. He's just a really good fighter. Good luck. You're gonna need it with the Fearless. The betting odds for this fight have Joshua Van minus 190 to plus 160. Yeah. I don't know if he should be minus 200, but I think 190 is pretty on the nose. Van should win. On the feet, he's levels above Tsuruya. On the ground, he's not bad, but I'm not really worried about Tsuruya being able to hold him down for 15 minutes. Cardio, no doubt, Joshua Van. It's going to be a real tough one for Rei Tsuruya. I really think he's gonna have a problem in this fight. I just have a weird feeling this is gonna get really bad for him, and he's not going to look very good in this fight. I just don't see him being able to hold down Van for 15 minutes. Round 1, maybe. Round 2 and 3, no. So, my pick here is going to be Joshua Van in the first 2000th fight of all time. 22 and 23, both guys born after 2000, so that's very interesting. Yeah, you got a first in that department, so pretty cool. God, we're getting old. And yeah, my pick for the fight, I'm gonna go Joshua Van by, usually I would say decision and move on very quickly, but I have a weird feeling about this fight. I feel like Van's gonna get a finish. He only has one in the UFC, and it was against Felipe Booney. I think he's gonna get a finish. I feel like he might break Rei Tsuruya. I'm gonna go with my gut as of right now. Give me Joshua Van by TKO in the second. I think he could get a finish. I could see him landing a nice lure shot, or just eventually just drowning Tsuruya. Tsuruya, I think, can be pretty tired by the halfway point of round 2. Give me Joshua Van by TKO in the second. I just think he's gonna drown and break Tsuruya, so give me Van TKO in round 2. Maybe it's gonna look stupid when he wins a clean decision, but I just don't I just have a weird feeling about it, so let me go with the weird feeling. Give me Joshua Van by TKO in a second. Maybe I'll change it to a decision, but I'm gonna stick with that. I'm gonna stick with the round 2 TKO for right now. In our first 2000s battle between two very interesting prospects at 125. My pick for their prelim co-main event, Joshua Van by TKO in the second. As of right now, very good fight. And now time for our featured prelim, going to the heavyweight division. A fight that makes no fucking sense to anybody, but it's a UFC, that's pretty normal. And then our featured prelim, going to the heavy boys. We end the prelims with Curtis Razor Blaydes versus Rizvan Kuniev. Why is Curtis Blaydes fighting a debutant who's not even that good, like a big name? You see my point? You see my point? And everyone's point, it's a fucking stupid fight. Every fucking card you just prove more and more the rankings mean nothing. Why is a top 5 ranked heavyweight fighting a random debutant? I don't get it. I truly don't get it. But it's the UFC. It makes sense to them at least, so whatever. I'm probably not gonna spend a lot of time on this fight, so let's not do that. Ready? Let's break it down. I'm not really gonna talk about Curtis Blaydes. We know Curtis Blaydes. He has no chin. He had kind of been the gatekeeper of the division for a while, but if he can get you on the ground, you're in trouble. So, not a very good striker with a very weak chin, but he has very good ground game. About as simple as that. Good cardio, good ground game, no chin, weak striking. Yeah. I think that's the long and short of that, if I'm being honest. So I don't need to break down maybe if he's fighting another top 15 dude, I'd go a little more in depth, but what is there to say? So this fight's just fucking stupid. To talk about his opponent, Rizvan Kuniev. Rizvan is making his UFC debut of the Contender Series, where he had to go twice in 2021 and 2024. In that time span, he went to Eagle FC, that great promotion, and then he had a fight in PFO where he, I believe, won, but it got overturned for him taking every steroid in the book. So, great. Then he goes to the Contender Series again and gets a finish. He looked fine on Contender Series. Do I think he's ready for top 15? No. I was not overly impressed with him in Contender Series. He looked fine, but he didn't look fucking amazing. He's not some giant name. Yeah, he's from PFL, but who the fuck watches that? Like, the only heavyweight Russian I think anyone cares about is Nemkov. And y'all ain't signed him yet, so get on that. If this was Nemkov and Blaydes, we're talking different. But it ain't. So, again, sign him. But for Rizvan, he's on a nice winning streak. He's won 19 in a row? So that's nice. Or that's counting his amateur fights. He's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11 in a row, which is nice. Not against high level guys. If he comes in here and proves everyone wrong and wins, good for him. Is that gonna happen? I've never been the biggest Curtis Blaydes defender, but God, I doubt it. So let's see. Let's see what Rizvan can do. Fuck, even guys like Shamil had to fight one unranked guy before getting a shot like this. Crazy. Crazy. The betting odds for this fight have Curtis Blaydes minus 330 to plus 250. Yeah, you could have him minus 350. Blaydes should win this fight. He's more experienced, he's fought better guys, he's the top 15 guy, not the debutant, he's not the one taking steroids. So, the only way I see losing this fight is if the normal Curtis Blaydes thing happens, he gets knocked out. And I don't think he's going to be dumb enough to let Rizvan be able to even risk landing that shot. So, more than likely, Blaydes is going to be able to just get Rizvan down, hold him there, maybe some damage, maybe a TKO, but more than likely there's going to be a normal Curtis Blaydes fight. Takedown, decision, win. Gimme Curtis Blaydes by decision. A stupid fight. Again, very, very stupid fight. Blaydes, I've never been a big Curtis Blaydes fan. I never will be. He deserves better than this. This is fucking stupid. Give me Curtis Blaydes by decision to end the prelims for very stupid fight. Just stupid. Curtis Blaydes by decision to end the prelims. So those were the prelims, only an hour in. I guess I perfectly broke down the fights into half-an-hour periods, which, you know, cool. Decent prelims. Like, Fan and Blaydes, really top tier, prelim topper. This set of the prelims, not great. Decent, okay, good, not great. So, the last two fights are very good. The first 5 are a mixed bag. They should be a fine prelims. I doubt they're gonna be very terrible, so they should be fine. I'm not too worried about them. They should be the most perfectly fine prelims ever, especially with the last 2 fights probably being pretty good. So, fine prelims. Can't complain much. Outside of some stupid booking, I'm not complaining too much. Now, let's move on to the main card, which has a lot to talk about, so let's not waste any more time and do just that. You ready? I know I am. UFC 313. Let's see what happens on this main card. It's a good one. Again, not 314 good, but still very good nonetheless. A lot of 155 going on. So let's get right into that with our main card opener going to the pay-per-view. We begin with a fight that is okay. I get it. And if it goes the way I would like it to go, it would be very funny. Then our main card opener to UFC 313. We begin the pay-per-view with King Green versus wait, how do you say it? I always forget how you say his name. Mauricio, my bad. Mauricio one-shot Ruffy. Yeah, the first of 3 fights on this main card at 155, and it's an alright one. I think the weakest one of the 3, but when the other 2 are what the other 2 are, I guess that could be it could be worse. Bobby Green or King Green versus another prospect. He's not been doing great in these fights lately, but, you know, he's trying. Let's see what Bobby can do. He's not been doing the best lately against prospects, so we'll see what King can do. We'll start with Bobby Green, the OG, the hood veteran gangster. 13-11-1 of 13-11, 1-1 in UFC. I'm not gonna go down his whole UFC career. I'll go down his last few fights, since we'll go with the Tony Ferguson fight. Well, I guess the Tony Ferguson fight. He beats Tony, gets the main event against Grant Dawson, knocks him out. So he did beat one prospect, too, out of the worst one possible. Gets almost murdered by Jalen Turner. Almost murdered Jim Miller at UFC 300. And then he fought Paddy Pimblett and got submitted. For some reason, he shot a takedown on Paddy Pimblett, got submitted. Good job. Now he's here, coming into this fight 3-2 in his last 5. So not terrible, but those wins are not the strongest. Those losses are kind of decent. He's just becoming a fucking prospect fighter at this point. Like, he's just fighting these prospects. And when he's not, he's winning, so I'll give him that. 38 years old now, getting pretty damn old, and looking it at times. Like, he still has the very crisp striking, but a lot of people have figured that out by now and been able to clip him and knock him out. To take that as you will. His ground game is fine, but when he's the dominant grappler, if he's fighting someone with a good ground game, he's not going to be a very good grappler, so gotta factor that in. He's just old. He's been around for, how long has he been in UFC now? 15 years? For 11 years. People are going to figure out his style, and they have. They really have just figured out Bobby Green's style. Yes, he is still a good striker, and if you can't get in on them, he's going to piece you up. But besides that, we know he's not a KO artist, just Grant Dawson sucks. We know he's not a fucking Marab style crazy grappler. He's Bobby Green. He's gonna fight his style, win, lose, or draw. So, I don't think he's gonna be in the UFC much longer. He's getting pretty damn old. Again, 38 years old at lightweight is not a great sign. I think he'll probably be maybe till another year or so, but I feel like by 2027 we're gonna really start seeing the end of King of Green in UFC if he's not already gone by that point. So we'll see. We'll see what Bobby can do. He's had some high points in UFC, especially in the last few years. The Grant Dawson fight, everyone hyped, everyone loving him after the Islam fight. But he's also kind of hit some low points, and I think this is a low point for him, so we'll see. We'll see if he can bounce up from this low point, but we'll see. It's not gonna be easy. The reason, because he is fighting everyone's new favorite prospect, Mauricio Ruffy. Ruffy in the UFC is 2-0 coming out of Contender Series. In his 2 UFC fights so far, he smashed James Larkey. Sure, okay, not an awful win. And then he looked terrible against James Little on top. I'm not high on Ruffy. I don't think he's even close to as good as his fighting nerd brethrens. Gene, Carlos, and Caio are levels above him. I've just not been impressed with Ruffy. Like, yeah, he beat up James Volanta or James Malarkey. Wow, a human punching bag, and then he barely scraped by James Volanta. I scored that fight a draw. How you went 15 minutes with James Volanta, you didn't finish him? Like, how the fuck? Like, Gene would have finished him. Carlos would have killed him. Kaya would have beat him more dominantly. Like, I just don't think Ruffy's that good. He's not the next Conor. Duh. That's a fucking stupid thing to say. He's not gonna be Conor. His striking's okay. He has okay power. We've not seen him really grapple yet. I think very little. I'm not high on this guy until he proves me wrong. You had a competitive fight with James Volanta. If anything, if we're going off James Volanta performance, Taco Padilla, Chris Padilla, is better. And I should think he is better. So, I've not seen anything from Ruffy yet to warrant hype. He's, outside of being a fighting nerd, if he wasn't a fighting nerd, I don't think anyone would care about him, but he's a fighting nerd who they have all the hype warranted, because they are great. But let's be honest, it's the 3 good ones and all the other ones. So, let's be honest now. Ruffy is not as good as his fighting nerd brethren until I see something that proves that statement wrong. He's not. He's not. The betting odds for this fight have Mauricio Ruffy minus 590 to plus 420. I get it, but I think that's a little high even for me understanding it. I would probably have Ruffy minus 480, 490, right on the cusp of 500. And that's still me not even being a fan of him, so take that as you will. Yeah, should he win this fight? Probably. Bobby Green is 38 years old. He's getting to the end of the road. His chin's not as strong as it used to be. I think Ruffy's the bigger guy, yeah. Ruffy should win this fight. But I'm gonna pick the underdog, cause fuck Ruffy. Give me King Green. There's a world where Bobby's able to stay at range for 15 minutes and pick him apart like he does. A classic Bobby Green performance. Does that happen here? I doubt it. I fucking doubt it. But is there a world where that is possible? Yeah. Very much so. So, give me King Green by decision. Do I think he's actually going to win? Probably not. I think it's a very slim chance. But I'm not picking Ruffy until he proves something. I'm not getting on a hype train until they prove something. Give me King Green by decision. I'd rather get the pick wrong than pick a guy I don't believe in. A guy I think's a fraud at the moment. So, look good against Bobby Green. I'm still going to call you fraud because Bobby Green is 38 years old. But maybe eventually Ruffy will fight someone decent and look decent against him. But so far he's not even looking decent against bad fighters. So maybe we should wait a while. But as of right now for this fight, I'm biased. I'm going Bobby Green by decision. If I was making a real pick, I'd probably go Ruffy by either knockout or decision. Probably decision. So, but my biased pick, give me King Green by decision. Fraud check. Can we get a fraud checking into the bitch? It's a UFC card in 2025. We kind of need one of those. So, piece this man up and give him that hood experience for 15 minutes, Bobby. Give me King Green by decision. After that, we head to our second fight of the main card. I know a lot of y'all are not excited for this one, but I don't give a fuck. Fuck you. As in not saying this is gonna be a fight of the year, but it's a fine fight. As in our second fight of the main card, going to the straw weight division. We have a top 10 battle. I think what the top 7 battle? I forget where Iasmin is ranked. As in our second fight of the pay-per-view, we have Amanda Hina Lemos versus Iasmin Lucindo. A very good fight here. This should be an interesting one. If they decide to strike, it's going to be a really, really interesting one. And if they grapple, I think we kind of know what's going to happen there. But, I guess you really don't know. This is a decent fight. I think this could be a good fight. Is it definitely the sticking out like a sore thumb on this main card a little bit, but it's still a decent fight. It's gonna be an interesting fight. And I'm intrigued. So let's see what happens. in this one between Grandma and the young gun, 37 versus 23 years old. Crazy. Let's see what happens. We'll begin with the top 5 ranked, defending her ranking. Amanda Lemos, 8-4 in UFC. Her wins in UFC have been Miranda Granger, Mizuki Inoue, Liviani Souza, Montserrat Sanjeo Ruiz, Angela Hill, not really, Michelle Larson Gomez, Marina Rodriguez, and Mackenzie Dern. Her losses have been Leslie Smith, Angela Hill, Jessica Andrade, Weili Zhang, and Verna Jandiroba. Lemos is a decent fighter. She is 37 years old, so she is pretty fucking old. And I think her best days are a little bit behind her, even if you want to say when the fuck were those best days, I don't know. She was a fine fighter before, but a win-lose fighter, if we're being honest. She lost to Angie, she lost to Andrade in a main event. She did finally get a title shot against Weili, and I don't even know if she hit Weili. Then she beat Dern up, and then fought Verna Jandiroba, got submitted predictably there, and now she's fighting Iasmin. Kinda the spot she's been in her UFC career so far. She's gonna win a fight and fight someone higher ranked and lose, vice versa. She's just not really shown to be able to beat the higher echelons of the division. Like, her best wins, Marina Rodriguez, who's very good, but is a very inconsistent fighter in her own right. So, I think Lemos has had a lot of talent, but at 37 years old, I think what is left is a very hard hitter, and that's about it. Her grappling has never been good to begin with. Her cardio is not amazing. Her durability is fine. She's only been finished by submissions, so you got that. But at 37 years old, almost 38 years old in 2 months, in a division that's all about getting younger, we're not gonna see a lot more Lemos, I don't believe. I think she's getting really close to the end of the road. But she still has that power, so maybe you never know. We're gonna find out, aren't we? To talk about her way younger opponent, Iasmin Lucindo. Iasmin in UFC is 4-1. Her 4 wins have been Brogan Walker, Polyana Viana, Carolina Kovalkiewicz, and Marina Rodriguez. Her 1 loss was her UFC debut against Iasmin Halagui. We all know the Iasmin Lucindo story. Debut against Iasmin Halagui, have a banger, lose, but still have a lot of hype on you. And then, since then, she's had 4 fights, 2 a year. Beat up Brogan Walker, not really impressive. Submitted Polyana Viana, not really impressive. Beat up Carolina, okay, that's not awful. Beat Marina Rodriguez in a very weird performance. A very close fight at that. She's been not looking flawless in UFC, but she's not looking bad. 3 low-level fights and then Marina Rodriguez. I get she's 23 years old, so she's getting better, but she's not even looking that great against low-level fighters, so I think Iasmin is very talented, but she does not seem to be fully ready for the top 5. Like, if you put her in there with Weili right now, she's getting fucking destroyed. But I think you could say that for everyone, every female fighter, but you know. Iasmin's talented. She has really good striking, very fast hands, a okay ground game. But overall, she's just does not seem fully developed yet. Maybe this fight will be a perfect one to continue that. But we're gonna find out. We're really gonna find out. It should be an interesting one. See if she can join the top 5. It has to be maybe the youngest top 5 ranked fighter of all time. 23 years old. So I don't think they had the rankings when John Jones was winning the belt at 22 or whatever. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But let's see what Iasmin can do. Let's see if she's legit. Morono Rodriguez is a good win. Now it's time to move up to Amanda Lemos. See what happens. See if Iasmin is legit. 23 years old, still very young. Still needs to develop a bit, but maybe she's ready now. Let's find out. The betting odds for this fight are actually shockingly close, with Iasmin Lucindo -130 to +110. I think she should be a bigger favorite. I would have Iasmin like -200, 210. Like, she should win this fight. I don't really know why she's not a bigger favorite. Like, unless you think Lemos is gonna land that kill shot on her, which I doubt, I really struggle to see Lemos winning this fight. She's, what, closer to 15 years older? Like, she's almost old enough to be her fucking mother. Shit. Like, Lemos has shown blatant holes in her game. She is 37 years old. Lucindo has like, some grappling. She has very good striking. She might not have the power of Lemos, but that's about it. Outside of power and experience, what does Lemos have over Iasmin? I really don't know much else, so I struggle to see Lemos as a logical pick here. I think it's just not a very viable pick. So maybe I'm wrong, but I just struggle to see making a case for Amanda Lemos. So I'm gonna go with the much younger favorite. Give me Iasmin Lucindo. Again, I just really struggle to pick Lemos here. I like Lemos. I think she's very good. Was very good, but in 2025, at 37 years old versus someone much younger, I struggle to, and someone who I think is just a better fighter than Lemos, I struggle to make a case for Lemos as a pick. So, give me Iasmin Lucindo by probably decision. I don't really think she's gonna finish. Lemos known as knocked her out at straw weight, and I highly doubt Iasmin's gonna submit her. So give me Iasmin Lucindo by decision. She should win this fight. Much younger, much better of a fighter in my opinion. It's hard to pick against Iasmin here, so give me Iasmin Lucindo by decision. It's just, how do you make a case for the 37-year-old versus the 23-year-old? I can't. So give me Iasmin Lucindo by decision. After that, we go to our featured bout, a fucking banger, a fight that I ain't booked that long ago, so banger. Great quick addition, UFC. And then our third fight of the main card, going to our back-to-back at 155, and we begin with the best lightweight fight on the card, a fight I cannot wait for, a fucking banger, and our third fight of the pay-per-view between Jalin the Tarantula Turner versus Ignacio La Jahula Bahamondes. What a fucking fight. Two tall ass guys, two of the ginormous weight bullies at 155. I can't wait for this fight. It's gonna be so fucking good. Might get a finish, but I know we're gonna get violence for sure. This is gonna be good. I can't wait. So let's get right into it. And we'll begin with the ranked fighter of the two, Jalin Turner, 7-5 in UFC, coming out to Contender Series in his UFC career so far. He has beat Kalen Porter, who Josh Kulabau, Brooke Weaver, Euros Medic, Jamie Malarkey, Brad Riddell, and King Green. He has lost to Vicente Luque, Matt Frivola, Gamrot, even though I think he won that fight, Dan Hooker, and Hanato Moicano in the dumbest L of 2024. He pretty much knocked Moicano out and just said, yeah, you can get up. Fucking dummy, you're not Mark Hunt. What he is a weight bully who's kind of overrated. Like, he hits really hard. He has a little bit of a ground game, but outside of that, if the fight gets tough, he's going to break and lose. He has terrible cardio. His fight IQ is terrible, and when he has the first sign of like a fight, someone bring it to him, he crumbles. Dan Hooker, Hanato Moicano, just the latest two examples. He breaks under pressure. It's that simple. He really truly just breaks under pressure. If he can land that one big knockout shot early and win, that's his ideal way of winning. He doesn't want to go deep into a fight. He wants to get it done as quickly as possible, and sometimes that's pretty easy for him. But lately, since he's gotten the top 15, that's been a lot easier said than done. So, outside of murdering Bobby Green, he's not really been able to do that to anyone in a while. So, we'll see if that changes here. I doubt it, but you never know. He's had enough time. He's had almost a year off. We'll see if he's got better, if he's got smarter. Let's find out. To talk about his opponent, Ignacio Bahamondes. Ignacio in the UFC is 5-2. His 5 wins have been Roosevelt Roberts, Rong Zhu, Trey Ogden, Christos Giagos, and Manuel Torres. His only losses have been John Makdessi and Ludovic Klein. Ignacio's so fucking good. I'm so happy he's finally getting a top 15 shot. Coming off that fraud checking of Manuel Torres. Outside of that, not really any other notable wins. Trey Ogden, that's a nice win. But Roosevelt Roberts, trash. Rong Zhu, mid. And Christoph Giagos, trash. So, and even his losses, John Makdessi, not a great guy to lose to. And Ludovic Klein, that's understandable. Ludovic Klein is very talented. Like Ignacio, 27 years old, still very young, finally getting his top 15 opportunity. Let's see if he can finally join the top 15. He has all the talent for it. He has great striking, great kicks, a decent ground game. He's well-rounded. He's had some struggles at times. If you're the better grappler than him, he will be able to beat him. But outside of that, Ignacio is really fucking good, and unless he gets knocked out in one punch, which is unlikely, I think we might be seeing a new top 15 member in the lightweight division. So, a long overdue top 15 member in the division, because again, God, Ignacio is so fucking good. So I'm happy he's getting the spotlight on pay-per-view, happy he's getting the top 15 spot. And let's see if he can finally join the top 15 and prove he is legit and give lightweight another problem to worry about. Let's find out. The betting odds for this fight are pretty much a pick'em. Should they be? I'm leaning Ignacio should probably be a little bit of a favorite, maybe a minus 130, minus 135. He's younger, he's fought more recently, he's looked better in the recent fights, and he's not a fucking idiot like Jalin Turner. So if you want to bet on Jalin Turner after his last fight, that's a risk you could take. I never could, but good for you. I'm gonna go Ignacio Bahamondes. I think he's the better fighter. I think he has more ways of winning. I think he has more heart. I think he has a good chin. Turner has better power. Turner has better grappling. But in round 1, after round 1, Turner's going to gas out and quit. I would not be shocked at a second or third round finish for Ignacio, but at the same time, he might just pick him apart for 10 minutes. So, unless Jalin Turner lands that big knockout shot, which is unlikely, Ignacio should be able to win this fight. I don't see Ignacio going down in one shot. I don't see Jalin Turner having the cardio to go 15 minutes with Ignacio and winning. Give me Ignacio Bahamondes by decision. He should win this fight. I think he's the better fighter. I think he's the smarter fighter. I think he has more ways to win. So that's what I'm going to go with. Give me Ignacio Bahamondes by decision. I think he's better. Can't wait for this fight. It's going to be a banger either way. But unless Turner lands that one-shot KO, which is unlikely, give me Ignacio La Jula Bahamondes by decision to finally join the top 15. After that, we go to our co-main event of the evening, a rematch from 2 years ago. I'm not thrilled about, but you know, it's a fight. As in our co-main event of the evening, we stay at lightweight for a co-main rematch, and for the co-main on their first fight as well, between Justin the Highlight Gaethje versus Rafael Armen Fiziev. I think I talked about this a tiny bit last week. If not, then I guess I would just say I'm not thrilled about this fight. Of course, we all know Dan Hooker pulled out of the Gaethje fight last week for broken hand. I think Fiziev was the worst option to get step in. I'd rather seen Dariush, Moicano, Gene Silva. Dariush especially, like I said. I just don't care for this fight. I saw it 2 years ago. It's the same way I looked at Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler. Their rematch. I saw it already. So, it's cool to have Fiziev back. I like Fiziev. It's about fucking time. But do I care about this fight? Not really. I'm not really going to waste a lot of time here. What do I think is going to happen? I think it's going to be like the first fight. I think Gaethje is going to win over 3 rounds. It has been changed to a 3-rounder, I believe. I think Gaethje is going to be the better fighter over the 3 rounds. Unless Fiziev lands a shot that just breaks Gaethje. Or Gaethje lands a shot that just breaks Fiziev. He should go to some leg kicks. But outside of that, I'm going to go Justin Gaethje by decision. I think he's probably the best underdog on the card. I don't know why he's the underdog. He should win this fight like he did the first time. I think he's a better fighter. I like Fiziev, but he's okay. Give me Justin Gaethje by decision. He should win this fight the same way he won the first one. If not even more clear, because people for some reason think the first fight was competitive. So, give me Justin Gaethje by decision. I just don't really care about this fight. It should have been Dariush or someone new. I don't care for this rematch at all. So, give me Justin Gaethje by decision. Pretty simple, I guess. Should be pretty not far from the first fight, if not more dominant. Simple. And now time for our main event of the evening. A fight long overdue, should have already happened, but you know, UFC is gonna UFC. And then our main event of the evening for the undisputed UFC Light Heavyweight Championship of the world. To end UFC 313, we have Alex Poatan Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. Finally, the most interesting fight at light heavyweight finally happening. It should have already happened, but we're getting it now, and I can't wait. Pereira versus his toughest test. Let's see who the best light heavyweight in the world is. These are the two options. Now it's time to see who it is. God, I can't wait for this fight. Long overdue. Pereira, I don't even need to say anything about 2024 Fighter of the Year. KOs everybody. He's Alex, one of the greatest fighters of all time. First ballot Hall of Famer. What can I say? Should be the pound for pound ranked #1 fighter, but give it time. Like maybe, probably if he wins definitely his last fight at light heavyweight. If he loses, the rematch will make the most sense. What can I say about Pereira that's not been said? I don't need to go in depth on Alex Pereira. For Magomed Ankalaev, though, who I don't think I gotta go in depth on, but just want to talk about a little bit. Finally getting his title shot against Alex, long overdue, on a long-ass winning streak, beating Kutilaba, Krylov, Uzdemir, Santos, Smith. Probably should have beat should have probably beat Jan, Johnny Walker, and Alexander Ratchik. Some pretty weak-ass wins. When Nikita Krylov is your big win. Yeah. I'm not high on Alexander Ratchik. I think he's kind of overrated. I don't know what y'all seen. Johnny Walker sucks. Anthony Smith sucks. Thiago Santos in 2022 sucks. Volkan Oezdemir is mid. And Ian Kutilaba is ass. So, again, Nikita Krylov with your big win. Yeah. We know what Ank has to do here. He has to grapple. He's gonna pretend like he can strike with Alex. If he strikes with Alex, he's getting knocked the fuck out. He has to grapple. It's that simple. If he doesn't grapple, whatever happens is warranted. You deserve to get knocked out if you just don't grapple Alex Pereira. It's that simple. So, if you try and strike with Alex Pereira, you're getting knocked the fuck out. Let's see if he sticks to his word or he decides to grapple. Only one way to find out, is it? This fight's as simple as it gets. Either Pereira knocks him out or Ank cuddles him. I don't think this fight's going for 25 minutes. I think Pereira's going to either get the knockout early or Ankalaev is going to either submit him or TKO him later in the fight. What am I going with? How do I not pick Shama? Definitely the most worried I've been about picking Shama in a while, since probably the first Yuri fight, and I didn't even pick him to win that fight. But you see my point, this is the most competitive fight he's had in a hot minute. It's how do you not pick him though? All the momentum in the world. Some of the best striking in the world. If he touches your chin, you die. Give me Alex Pereira by knockout in a second. Am I going to be worried every time Ankalaev shoots a takedown? Yeah. But if Pereira can stuff one of those and gives him enough time to land a big shot, that's all he needs. So give me Alex Pereira by knockout in the first. Or second, I mean. I think he's gonna be able to catch that chin at some point in this fight. And if he can keep it standing long enough to do that, then you're going to be hearing, and still, the UFC light heavyweight champion, the one and the only, Alex Shama Pereira. So my pick is going to be Alex Pereira. This is a pick'em fight, flip a coin. Do you think Ank is going to grapple, or do you think Pereira's going to knock him out? Only one way to find out. That's Saturday night. Give me Alex Pereira by knockout in the second. I think he's going to keep it standing long enough to get that kill shot and defend his belt one last time at light heavyweight. Shama. And finally, I can say, boom. That was the card. To go over my picks one more time. Djorden Santos by decision. John Castañeda by decision. Mairon Santos, my lock is a night by knockout in the second. Carlos Leal by decision. Bruno Ferreira by decision. Joshua Van by TKO in the second. Curtis Blaydes by decision. King Green by decision. Iasmin Lucindo by decision. Ignacio Bahamondes by decision. Justin Gaethje by decision. And Alex Pereira by knockout in the second. Bang. UFC 313 is a decent card. Pereira, Bahamondes, Lucindo, Bobby Green, Curtis Blaydes, Joshua Van. Some good ass fights. Really no bad fights on the card. One, it's the opening fight. Yeah, I don't care for Gaethje Fiziev much. It's still gonna be a good fight, but outside of that, I don't care. But a few of the prelims are not top tier fights, but they're not awful. It's a fine card. It's gonna be fun. It's a pretty good card, actually. It's gonna be fun, and I can't wait. Again, not 314 good, but it's very good. And you'll hear how good the card was or wasn't Sunday, as always, with your recap. Hopefully around 1 p.m. EST, but you know me, especially for pay-per-view, that's unlikely. But sometime on Sunday, I'll be getting this recap out. So hopefully I'm saying Shama and still. But you never know. What I do know is I don't really got much else to say about this card. It's a good card. Those are my picks. I'm excited for it. You'll hear me recap it Sunday. That's about that. So, outside of that, we're going for an hour and 40 minutes. So let's not waste any more time. Let's finish this up, shall we? So, unless I'm forgetting to say something, which I don't believe I am, let's end this video by saying, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe. 100 subs goal by the end of 2025. And unless I'm forgetting to say something, which I would be shocked if I am, as always, RX finally out. Good vibes, Shama, and